I never thought I'd fire the shot that shattered my father's empire, but when he laughed in my face at that black tie fundraiser, calling me his disappointing little shadow, in front of 200 power brokers, I loaded the chamber, without a second thought. The room smelled of bourbon and betrayal, the kind that festers in boardrooms and backroom deals, and as his words hung like smoke, I realized the secret I'd buried for him was about to claw its way out. What came next wasn't just revenge. It was the kind of reckoning that leaves good people questioning if justice ever wears a clean suit. It started 15 years ago, back when I was just Skylar Hayes, the wide-eyed daughter of Harlan Hayes, the king of Silicon Valley defense contracting. Harlan wasn't just rich. He was the guy who whispered in the ears of senators, the one whose company, Apex Armaments, built the drones that kept America safe from threats real and imagined. To the world, he was a patriot, a self-made titan who'd clawed his way from a Detroit assembly line to a penthouse overlooking the Potomac. To me, he was the monster who taught me that family meant swallowing lies until they choked you. I was 16 when I first covered for him. It was a humid August night in our sprawling McMansion in Arlington, Virginia, the kind where the air conditioners hummed like angry bees and the cicadas screamed for mercy. Harlan had come home late, reeking of scotch and something sharper, gun oil, maybe, or the metallic tang of fear. He stumbled into the kitchen, his tie askew, and collapsed into a chair, muttering about loose ends at the office. I was doing homework at the island, algebra problems blurring under the fluorescent light, when he grabbed my arm. Hard. "Skylar," he slurred, eyes wild like a cornered animal. "You love your old man, right? You do anything for the family business." I nodded, because what else do you do when your father's grip feels like a vice? He told me then, in fits and starts, about the deal gone south. Apex had been cutting corners on a prototype missile guidance system for the Pentagon, falsifying test data to shave millions off costs. But it wasn't just sloppy accounting. One of the early field tests had gone haywire, a drone misfiring over a training range in Nevada, nearly clipping a squad of Marines. No deaths, thank God, but close enough to trigger an investigation. Harlan had buried the reports, paid off a mid-level engineer to take the fall, but the kid, barely 30, with a wife and a newborn, had cracked under questioning. He was pointing fingers upward. "Dad, that's fraud," I whispered, my stomach twisting like I'd swallowed glass. "People could get hurt." He laughed, that booming, dismissive bark that echoed off the marble counters. "Hurt? Skylar, this is America. We build the future by stepping on a few toes. You want to eat caviar or cat food? Now listen, tomorrow when the feds come sniffing, you were there. You saw the tests. You sign this." He slid a stack of forged logs across the table, my name already scrawled at the bottom in his chicken scratch forgery. I was the intern, the eager daughter shadowing the team. My signature would make it official. The glitch was user error, a kid's mistake, not systemic rot. I should have said no. Should have grabbed my phone, called Mom. God, if she'd been alive, she'd have torched the whole thing. But cancer had taken her 2 years prior, leaving me as Harlan's only anchor in a sea of ambition. And he played it like a fiddle. "You're my legacy, kid. Without you, we're nothing."
So I signed.
The engineer got 5 years in federal lockup, his family shattered. Harlan got a slap on the wrist, a fine he wrote off as a tax deduction, and a fat new contract. I got nightmares where drones buzzed like locusts over my bed, and a father's proud pat on the back that felt like chains. Years blurred after that. I buried myself in MIT, double majoring in engineering and poli-sci, telling myself I'd fix his messes from the inside. Graduated top of my class, landed a gig at DARPA as a systems analyst, the wunderkind daughter of the industry legend. Harlan paraded me at galas, his arm around my shoulders like a noose, boasting about my sharp mind, while whispering reminders of that signature in my ear. "Keep quiet, Skylar. We're golden." But the secrets piled up like dirty laundry. Another cover-up, faulty body armor for troops in Afghanistan, skimped composites that cracked under fire. I fudged the specs in a report, blaming supply chain delays. Soldiers died, 3 confirmed, whispers of more. and I drowned the guilt in black coffee and all-nighters. By 28, I was a ghost in my own life, Harlan's perfect puppet. He expanded Apex into AI surveillance, selling algorithms to ICE that profiled immigrants like prey, and I was the ethical veneer, the diversity hire who greenlit it all. Friends drifted away. Lovers lasted weeks before I pushed them out, terrified of the rod I'd infect them with. Until Elena. She was a journalist, fierce and unfiltered, with curly hair that smelled like jasmine and eyes that saw through my armor. We met at a think tank panel on tech ethics, irony's cruel joke, and she cornered me after, notepad in hand. Skylar Hayes? Harlan's golden girl. What's it like dancing with the devil? I laughed it off, but she persisted, texts turning to coffees to late-night talks in her Adams Morgan apartment. For the first time, I confessed fragments, the engineer's name, the drone glitch, framing it as hypotheticals. She listened, never judging, just holding space. "You're not him," she'd say, tracing circles on my palm. "You can walk away." But walking away meant unraveling everything, including me. So I stayed, even as Harlan's empire grew darker. Backroom deals with lobbyists to gut export controls, letting Apex gear flow to questionable allies in the Gulf. The betrayal hit like a gut punch on my 30th birthday. Elena and I were planning to go public, her exposé on Apex's underbelly, me as the whistleblower, trading my complicity for redemption. We'd lawyered up, timed it for maximum impact, a Senate hearing where I'd testify, exposing the frauds I'd enabled. Harlan found out, of course. He always did. Burst into my office at DARPA one afternoon, face purple with rage, slamming a printout of Elena's draft article on my desk. "You traitorous little bitch," he snarled, spit flecking my blouse. "After everything? I made you. You broke me," I shot back, voice steady for the first time in years. But he wasn't done. He leaned in, breath hot and sour. "Go ahead, testify. I'll bury you both. Elena's got skeletons. Remember that DUI she pled out?
And you.
Oh, Skylar, that signature from all those years ago? Perjury's a felony, sweetheart. Federal time." He was bluffing.
Or was he?
The logs were gone, shredded long ago, but Harlan had copies, backups and Cayman accounts, leverage for days. I called Elena that night, voice shaking. "We postpone. He's got dirt," she argued, fierce as ever. "This is bigger than us, Sky. Those soldiers' families deserve justice." But doubt crept in, a worm in the apple. The next morning, she was dead. Car accident on the Beltway, brakes failed, plummeted off an overpass into the Anacostia. Cops called it mechanical failure, but the autopsy whispered tampering, tampered lines, a whisper of sabotage. Harlan's doing? He denied it, of course, at the funeral, dabbing crocodile tears with a monogrammed hanky. Tragic loss, Skylar.
She was.
Spirited. But his eyes gleamed, victorious. I knew. Deep in my marrow, I knew. And that's when the revenge ignited. Not hot and flashy, but cold, methodical, the kind that simmers until it boils over a lifetime's worth of lies. I didn't go to the cops. They were his cops, bought with campaign donations and golf weekends at Augusta. Instead, I went dark. Quit DARPA on a fabricated burnout leave, vanished into the DC underbelly, crash pads in Anacostia, burner phones, contacts from Elena's old sources. A hacker kid from Baltimore, ex-Apex whistleblower himself, dug into the black books. Turns out Harlan hadn't just killed her. He'd orchestrated half a dozen accidents over the years to silence dissenters. The engineer for my teens? His prison suicide was staged, neck snapped clean. And me? I'd been the perfect patsy, my name on enough falsified docs to sink a carrier. But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a maze of mirrors. I started small, anonymous leaks to ProPublica, breadcrumbs leading to Apex's offshore slush funds. Harlan spun it as competitor sabotage, but the stock dipped, investors jittery. Then I hit closer, hacked his personal server, leaked voicemails where he bragged about handling Elena like a loose thread. The media frenzy was biblical. CNN panels debating patriot or pariah. Protests outside Apex HQ. Vets in wheelchairs chanting for blood. Harlan lawyered up, countersued shadows. But the cracks spread. He came for me then, of course. Private investigators tailing my safe houses. Offers of reconciliation laced with threats. Come home, Skylar. We can fix this. Family first. I almost did once, in a weak moment after a raid on my burner op. Feds tipped off, but I slipped them. Saw him on TV, aged overnight, pleading the father's pain. It twisted something in me. Was I the villain now, dismantling the empire that fed thousands? Employees losing jobs, pensions vaporized, collateral in my war. The gala was the endgame. The Meridian Ball, black tie nexus of DC's military-industrial complex, where brass and billionaires mingled under crystal chandeliers. Harlan, ever the Phoenix, had clawed back goodwill with a fat donation to a vet's charity. Ironic, given the body armor debacle. He invited me as olive branch, a public spectacle to quash rumors of our rift. I went, wired for sound, Elena's locket around my neck like a talisman. The room was a viper pit. Generals in mess dress, congresswomen in pearls, tech bros nursing whiskeys. Harlan held court near the podium, arm around a senator. When I approached, Skylar, the prodigal returns. Smiles all around, but his eyes were knives. Then he turned to the crowd, mic in hand for the toast. Folks, raise a glass to my daughter. Brilliant but headstrong. Like her mother, always chasing ghosts. Sometimes you gotta let the big boys handle the heavy lifting, Laughter rippled, condescending chuckles from men who'd never lifted more than a cigar. He winked at me, the mockery landing like a slap. The little girl, out of her depth, mocking my hysteria over Elena. The room blurred. I could have walked away, let it slide. But the wire hummed, live streaming to a network of allies, Bet's groups, Elena's editor. Instead, I stepped to the mic. Actually, Dad, let's talk heavy lifting. Like the time you made me lie about that drone glitch, or sign off on armor that killed my friend's brothers. Gasps rippled. Harlan's face drained of color. Skylar, what the... But I wasn't done. Or Elena Vasquez. You didn't just break her brakes, you broke me. For what? Another zero in the Caymans? The room exploded, shouts, flashes popping like gunfire. Security surged, but then, from the shadows, a figure emerged. General Elias Thorne, 4-star head of Cyber Command. The man whose Marines nearly died in that Nevada test. He'd been briefed, Elena's last ally. He placed a hand on Harlan's shoulder, gentle, but iron, and turned to me. Ma'am, he said, voice cutting the chaos like a blade. This way. The committee's waiting. The room watched, frozen. Harlan sputtered, Elias, old friend, this is madness. But Thorne's stare was steel. Friend? You endangered my boys, Harlan. Skylar's testimony saved lives. Yours ends tonight. Escorts flanked me, parting the sea of stunned faces, Harlan's empire crumbling in real time as feds swarmed the exits, cuffs glinting. They say revenge is bitter, but as I walked out into the DC night, rain slicking the streets, it tasted like ash and freedom. Harlan? Indicted on a dozen counts, trial pending.
Me?
Subpoenaed as star witness, but whispers of immunity. The twist? Those leaks I'd made public included my own signatures, the perjury rap hanging like a noose. Was I hero or co-conspirator? The courts would decide, but in the court of public opinion, lines blurred. Patriots hailed me. Purists damned us both as war profiteers. Elena's ghost smiled, I think. Or maybe it was just the rain. That night after the gala, I didn't go home, wherever home was anymore. Instead, I slipped into a nondescript sedan waiting curbside, courtesy of Thorne's detail, and let the wipers slap away the downpour as we threaded toward a safe house in Bethesda. The radio crackled with live coverage. Breaking, Apex Armaments CEO Harlan Hayes detained amid explosive allegations from daughter Skylar Hayes. My name, finally unburdened, echoed like a verdict. But victory? It felt like swallowing razor blades, each update slicing deeper into the what-ifs. Thorne rode shotgun, his frame filling the passenger seat like a monument. For stars didn't come with capes, but his presence was armor. Cracked face from decades in the sandbox, voice gravel from briefings in bunkers. "You did good, Hayes," he grunted, not looking at me. "Elena would be proud." The mention hit like a sucker punch. "You knew her?" He nodded, eyes on the rear view. "She reached out months back. Vet groups, 2 families of the armor casualties. Said you were the key, but scared shitless. I waited for your move." A pause, heavy as humidity. "Harlan's been on my radar since Nevada. Your signature. That was the lock we couldn't pick." My throat tightened. "I was 16, General." He. "Doesn't matter." Sharp, but not unkind. "You're not that girl anymore. But the system's got teeth. They'll come for you, too." He wasn't wrong. By dawn, my inbox, burner or not, was a war zone. Death threats from Apex loyalists, pleas from old colleagues, "Think of the jobs, Skylar," and a single email from Harlan's lawyer, brass-plated and blunt. "Retract, or we expose your complicity. Perjury carries 5 to 10. Family discount. Testify against the saboteurs. Walk free." I deleted it, but sleep evaded me. The safe house was sterile, government-issue couch, stack of takeout menus, a window overlooking manicured lawns that mocked my chaos. I paced, Elena's locket heavy against my chest, replaying the gala in loops. Harlan's laugh, the crowd's pivot from pity to predation. Had I gone too far? Those employees, good folks, coders and welders, now jobless, picketing with signs that called me Judas. Twitter, or X, whatever the hell they called it now, was ablaze, Skylar betrayal trending, split down the middle. One thread. "Finally, someone guts the military-industrial beast." Counter. "Daddy's girl torches her own nest, pathetic." No heroes, just factions clawing for narrative. Revenge, I'd learned, wasn't linear. It looped, feeding on itself. Flashback to 6 months post-Elena, when I'd first tasted its poison. Hold up in a Georgetown walk-up, sublet under a fake name. I tracked Harlan's routines via public cams and a drone of my own. Poetic justice, a consumer model buzzing his chauffeured S-Class like a gnat. He was unraveling already, or so it seemed. Board meetings leaked as shouting matches, wife number 3, post-mom, a parade of trophy models, filing for divorce citing, irreconcilable stress. But Harlan was a chameleon, flipping scripts faster than a Vegas dealer. That's when he tried the first flip, the reconciliation tour. Billboards in Times Square, Hayes family, building bridges, not walls, and a primetime interview on Fox, where he teared up, blaming radical elements for the leaks. My Skylar. She's confused, hurting from loss. Elena was a fine girl, but accidents happen. We're healing. The public ate it, polls shifting. Sympathy for the wronged patriarch. I countered with a deepfake bust, his voice, AI cloned from voicemails, confessing the break job to a fixer. Dropped it on Reddit's r/conspiracy, watched it metastasize to mainstream. Harlan raged on air. Deep fake lies. My enemies will stop at nothing. Flip 2. He went victim. Sued the hacker kid from Baltimore for defamation, painted him as a foreign operative, code for Chinese spy, evergreen bogeyman. The kid cracked, flipped to state's evidence under pressure, my pressure anonymous tips to his PO. Harlan's empire teetered, stock at penny levels, but he countered with a masterstroke, donated millions to Elena's memorial fund, reframed as tech safety initiative. Press tour, shaking hands with grieving families whispering, Skylar's misguided, but we'll honor her friend together. It worked. Some widows softened, one even emailed me. Your dad gets it now. Let it go. I couldn't. The rage was a live wire, sparking decisions that blurred right and wrong. Like the night I confronted his fixer, a ex-CIA type named Rawls, in a foggy bottom dive bar. I'd lured him with a fake Apex gig. Sat across the scarred oak table nursing a Jameson. You killed her, I said flatly, sliding a photo of Elena's wreck across. He smirked, ice clinking. Business, sweetheart. Harlan pays premium for clean. I pulled the wire. Thorne's team listening, and watched his smirk die as cuffs clicked. But Rawls flipped too. Plea deal for naming names. Harlan's orders, verbatim. Testified in a sealed hearing, but leaks hit the post. CEO's daughter avenges lover in vigilante sting. Hero? Vigilante? The line smudged. Protests swelled. Justice for Elena camps outside the White House, but counter-rallies from defense workers. Skylar's revenge equals American jobs lost. I became the controversy. Op-eds debating if love justified lawlessness. Thorne pulled strings for protection, but isolation gnawed. I'd ghosted everyone. College roommate in Seattle. The ex from grad school who'd proposed once. I said no, fearing the stain. Only ally. Mia, Elena's sister, a paralegal in Philly with a voice like cracked leather. You're doing her work, Sky, she'd say on encrypted calls. But don't become him. Obsessed, blind. Wise words, but obsession was my oxygen. As the trial loomed, Harlan's arraignment set for federal court in Alexandria. I plotted the gala coup. Thorne greenlit it. Live wire. Feds on standby. But doubts clawed. What if the crowd sided with him? What if my signature surfaced, painting me as equal villain? Harlan had flipped again, pre-gala leaks hinting at coerced testimony from me, the unstable daughter. Pundits piled on. Stockholm Syndrome or sibling rivalry? Walking into that ballroom, heart hammering like a jackhammer, I felt the weight. Harlan's toast was the spark, mockery masking menace. My response? The detonator. As Thorne led me out, Harlan's bellow followed. She's lying. All of it, for attention. But the room had turned, whispers to outrage, phones capturing the general's deference like a viral indictment. In the safe house, dawn breaking gray over the Chesapeake, I finally slept. Dreamed of Elena, not accusing, but handing me a mirror. My reflection, Harlan's eyes staring back. Was revenge absolution, or just another betrayal? The arraignment was circus. Media scrum outside the courthouse, rain-slick steps gleaming like oil. Harlan, in off-the-rack suit, played the martyr, shackled but chin-high, waving to supporters bussed in from Apex plants in Ohio. Innocent until proven, they chanted, signs waving. Free Harlan, fake news. I slipped in a side door, flanked by U.S. Marshals, Thorne's doing. Inside, the gallery was packed. Vets in MAGA hats, activists with fists raised, Elena's family in the front row, Mia's eyes locking on mine, steel, unyielding. The judge, a no-nonsense Reagan appointee, banged gavel for order. Harlan's plea. Not guilty, naturally. His lawyer, a silver-haired shark named Caldwell, launched into opening theatrics. This is a witch hunt, Your Honor. A grieving daughter, manipulated by radicals, destroying her father's legacy. He gestured at me, venom sweet. Ms. Hayes signed those documents willingly, eager for approval. Now, she flips, like the sources she accuses. My turn. On the stand, Bible in hand, irony. Given the lies it had swallowed, I recounted it all. The drone, the armor, Elena's twisted metal. Voice steady, but inside?
Quake.
Cross-exam was brutal, Caldwell waving my forged logs like bloody laundry. You perjured yourself, Miss Hayes. How can we trust you now? Gallery murmured, a vet shouting. Traitor. Bailiff's warning bark. Thorne testified next, a pillar. Hayes's actions endangered national security. Skylar's courage rectified it. But the flip came midweek. Rawls, the fixer, took the stand for the defense. Plea deal soured? No, Harlan's doing a last bribe from lockup. Skylar approached me. He lied smooth, offered cash for sabotage story. She's the unstable one. Lover's death unhinged her.
Gasps.
Mia's face crumpled. The judge adjourned, but damage done. Headline screamed, whistleblower or wrecker? Polls swung. Public siding with Harlan's everyman spin. I holed up again, rage reigniting. Hacked Caldwell's emails that night. Desperate. Dirty. Found the payoff to Rawls. Leaked it anonymously. Watched Rawls recant on a hurried affidavit. Chaos. Contempt charges, mistrial whispers. Harlan flipped once more from the visitor's room. Smuggled note via his guard. End this, Skylar. Immunity for us both. Or we both burn. Tempting.
Family.
Legacy. But Elena's locket burned hotter. I burned it instead. The note, in a motel sink, watching flames dance like doubts. Trial dragged into summer, DC sweltering like a fever dream. Witnesses piled, the engineer's widow, voice breaking on his suicide, a Gulf contractor admitting Apex kickbacks. Harlan's defense crumbled, Flip's exhausting even him, testifying himself, a rambling monologue blaming deep state and feminist agendas. Jury deliberated 3 days, emerging with guilty on fraud, manslaughter, 30 years, no parole. Courtroom erupted. Harlan lunged at me across the bar, scream raw. It destroyed us. Marshals wrestled him down.
I stood frozen, mia uging me fierce.
Victory? The gallery split. Cheers from one side, boos from the other. Outside, protesters clashed. Justice versus jobs. But the twist waited in the shadows. As I exited, feds pulled me aside. Not celebration, but cuffs dangling. Skylar Hayes, you're under arrest for perjury and conspiracy. My signatures, unearthed from Harlan's vaults, airtight. Thorne? Nowhere. His ally, a ploy, used the daughter to nail the father, then clean house. Betrayed again. By the system, by hope. As they read rights, reign starting anew, I laughed, hollow, Harlan's laugh. Revenge's final flip. I'd freed him in chains, but chained myself eternal. Caro? Villain? Or just America's daughter, paying the piper's tune? The holding cell in Alexandria smelled like bleach and broken dreams. Cold concrete bench, fluorescent buzz drilling into my skull, a sink that dribbled rust. No phone call yet. Feds played it slow, letting the weight settle. 30 hours in, they shuffled me to interrogation, fluorescent lit box with a one-way mirror and 2 suits. Agent Reyes, sharp-eyed Latina with a stare like a laser, and her partner, grizzled Irish named O'Connor, coffee breath and skepticism. Skylar Hayes. Reyes started, sliding a folder across the table. My life in redacted black. Daughter of the spider, spinning her own web. Care to explain why we shouldn't throw away the key? I leaned back, chains clinking like wind chimes. Because I brought down Harlan Hayes. That's gotta count for something.
O'Connor snorted.
Or everything. Those signatures? Felonies stacked like Jenga. You think Thorne's little show buys immunity? He's cybercom, plays both sides to keep the machine oiled.
Thorne.
The betrayal stung fresh, a knife twist. I trusted his gravel voice, his ma'am, but it was theater. Use the insider to get the mark, discard the tool. Elena's exposé had flagged him too. Quiet investments in Apex rivals, a general with stocks in the game. Flip artist, like father, like system. They grilled for hours. Timelines, motives, the gallows wire. I gave it straight. No more lies. The weight lifting with each truth. Reyes softened fractionally. Your old man's going away, but you're collateral. Plea it out. 5 years. Testify clean or we go hard. 5 years. Birthday cakes in gray, letters from Mia smuggled like contraband. Or fight, risk 20, become the martyr Harlan painted. Choice made itself when they wheeled in the twist. A tablet, video cued. Harlan, in orange jumpsuit, visitation room feed from that morning. He looked diminished, jowls sagging, eyes hollow, but the smile was pure predator. Skylar, he croaked to the camera, as if sensing me. They got you too?
Poetic.
But listen, I've got to play. That offshore drive? Not just money.
Proof.
Thorne's dirty, kickbacks from your leaks, funneled through me. Give it up, we both walk. Daughters gotta save their daddies, right? The room spun. Proof? He dangled at pre-trial. But this, implicating Thorne, could flip the board. Reyes paused the feed. He's bluffing. Or baiting. Your call. My call. Revenge's Hydra. Cut 1 head, 2 grow. I toppled Harlan, but the Empire's tentacles lingered. Thorne's command, Apex's ghost contracts. 5 years probation or burn it all.
Inadto O'Connor.
Get me a deal. I'll deliver the drive. They scrambled. Warrant for Harlan's cell. Search of his effects. The drive surfaced in a hollowed Bible, irony again, encrypted thumbstick with ledgers. Thorne's shell companies laundered through Apex donations. Cybercom's finest, moonlighting as profiteer. Feds pounced. By week's end, Thorne was sidelined. Investigations spinning up. My plea? Deferred, community service, whistleblower status, hard won. But freedom wasn't free. Released on bond, ankle monitor beeping like a guilty heartbeat, I emerged to a media gauntlet. Skylar Hayes, victim or virtuoso, blared the post. Supporters mobbed, Elena Society, naming themselves after her, vigils with candles and chants. Detractors hurled eggs, Apex widows screaming murderer, for the jobs lost, the 401(k)s vaporized. America, loving its villains as much as heroes, debated me endlessly. Podcasts parsing my flawed feminism, late-night hosts joking from daddy's girl to daddy's destroyer. I crashed with Mia in Philly, her row house a sanctuary of mismatched furniture and takeout Thai. You're a storm, Sky, she said one night, passing a joint on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant gunfire. Elena loved that about you. But storms pass, don't drown in yours. She was right. Isolation bred monsters. I needed roots. Enrolled in night classes at Temple, ethics in tech, ironic penance, volunteering with vet advocacy, counseling families on Apex claims. Faces haunted. The engineer's widow, now ally, co-founding a foundation in his name. You carried it too long, she told me over coffee in Rittenhouse Square. Let it go. But Harlan wouldn't. From Leavenworth, letters arrived, first pleading, then poisonous. You're nothing without me. The system's chewing you up, Thorne's fall. They'll pin it on you next. Paranoia or prophecy. Whispers grew. Congressional probes into whistleblower overreach. My deferred plea scrutinized. A subcommittee hearing loomed, chaired by Senator Hale, Harlan's old golf buddy. Fox guarding the henhouse. Prep was war. Lawyers, mock Q&As, Mia drilling me like a sparring partner. Own the gray, she coached. No one's pure. The hearing, C-SPAN sterile in a Rayburn basement room, was theater redux. Hale, jolly and jovial, opened with barbs. Ms. Hayes, your revenge cost 5,000 jobs. Patriotism or personal vendetta? I fired back, voice amplified by truth. Senator, my father's patriotism cost lives, soldiers, civilians, Elena. I owned my mistakes, he never did. Gasps, cameras whirring. Witnesses followed. Mia on Elena's legacy, a Marine on the armor failure. It saved us, ma'am. Thank you. But flips persisted. A former Apex exec, immunity bot, claiming I instigated leaks for personal gain. Lies, but sticky. Hale's gavel closed it undecided. But the damage? A bill proposed. Hayes Act, capping whistleblower protections, rhetoric framing me as cautionary tale. Public split deepened, rallies in D.C., counter in Silicon Valley. I became symbol. Skylar Strong versus Hayes Harm. Revenge's echo chamber. Nights, I drive to the Beltway overpass, Elena's spot. Wind whipping like accusations. Was it worth it? Harlan rotting, Thorne disgraced, Apex dismantled, sold piecemeal to ethical firms.
But the void?
Jobs to China, vets benefits slashed in budget fights. My reflection in the guardrail, hollow-cheeked, eyes like Harlan's, calculating, cold. Twist 2 hit via anonymous tip, a package at Mia's, unmarked envelope with photos. Me, post-gala, meeting Thorne in a shadowed lot. Not betrayal, but conspiracy? No blurry shots of us plotting the sting, timestamps off by days. Deep fake? Or real? Attached note, Harlan scrawl. Your ally played you longer. Drives fake, my gift. Burn together or alone. Panic Claude. Called Reyes. She confirmed. Ledger's bogus. Thorne clean. Harlan's parting shot. Smuggled pre-sentencing. The hearing? Tainted. Hale reconvened emergency session, my credibility shredded. Perjury again, Ms. Hayes, he thundered. Fed circled. Bond revoked. Cuffed once more, Philly's skyline fading, I saw the loop. Betrayal begetting betrayal. Flips eternal. But in the van's cage, Mia's text buzzed through. Lawyer's Hail Mary. Elena's unpublished files, proving Harlan's plant. Thorne vindicated, hearing collapsed. Released again, fragile as glass. Harlan's last letter. Proud kid. We match now. I burned it, this time with ceremony. Ashes over the Anacostia, rain washing clean. Revenge? A mirror maze, exits illusions. But stepping out I chose. Not hero, not villain, just Skylar, rebuilding from ruins. 2 years post-hearing, the scars had scabbed but not healed, faint lines mapping a body remade. I was 32 now, living lean in a Brooklyn loft, sublet from a graphic designer who traveled for TED Talks. No more Arlington marble, exposed brick and subway rumbles suited the new me, raw and resonant. The ankle monitor was gone, deferred plea morphed into probation's tail end, but the real chains? Public eye, that unblinking judge. Work was patchwork, adjunct prof at NYU, lecturing on ethics in emergent tech, kids with wide eyes and sharper questions, forcing me to dissect my own ghosts. Professor Hayes, one quipped after class, your dad's fall, catharsis or catastrophe for innovation? I laughed, bitter chicory.
Both.
America's superpower, holding contradictions without cracking. Off campus, the Elena Vasquez Institute thrived, nonprofit I co-founded with Mia, auditing defense contracts, training whistleblowers. Grants from squeaky clean foundations, board of vets and journalists. Successes stacked. 2 exposés on drone overreach, a congressional rider mandating transparency in AI targeting. But shadows lingered, anonymous donors with strings, ex-Apex suits sniffing for board seats. The machine rebuilds, Hydra-headed. Harlan, Leavenworth's model inmate, writing a memoir smuggled to Vanity Fair. Empire of One, a father's reckoning. Serialized chapters painted him tragic, ruthless, but remorseful, me the wounded avenger whose love twisted to hate. Sales top charts, movie rights whispered. I read excerpts in a dive bar off Bedford, nursing a seltzer, gut churning. His flips eternal, even caged, victim 1 page, visionary next. A letter arrived, postmarked federal. Skylar, visit. Unfinished business. Love, Dad. I burned it unread. Love? The word curdled, like milk left in the sun. But unfinished?
Yeah.
Dreams still jerked me awake, Elena's laugh morphing to Harlan's bark, drones humming indictments. Therapy helped, a park slope shrink with wire rims and no bullshit. Revenge was your narrative. What's next? Next was tentative. Dating, awkward coffees with a documentary filmmaker named Alex, all tattoos and earnest questions. Your story, it's epic, he'd say over ramen in Williamsburg. Epic. Or exhausting. Intimacy terrified. Every touch whispered complicity, every vulnerability a potential flip. We lasted 3 months, ended gentle. You're still fighting ghosts, Sky. Mia's wedding anchored me. Philly courthouse, summer heat wave, her in thrift store lace, groom a public defender with a laugh like thunder. I stood best woman. Toast cracking jokes about sisters and scandal. To flips, I raised my glass, and finding steady ground. She hugged me after, fierce. Elena's here, and proud. But the empire echoed. Thorne, cleared but tarnished, retired to a K Street consultancy, lobbying for balanced reforms, his 4 stars traded for influence. We crossed paths at a Hill briefing. He nodded, grave. Ma'am, he said, echo of the gala, you gutted the beast. Respect. No apology. Men like him don't bend. I nodded back. General, watch your 6. Public life amped the tension. Podcast invites flooded, the Skylar sessions, deep dives into Betrayal's anatomy. 1 episode viral, me admitting, I took the fall for him because I thought family meant sacrifice. Turns out it means survival. Comments Ward, Queen versus Enabler. A TEDx slot in DC, standing ovation fracturing into walkouts, vets cheering, contractors jeering. Controversy crested with the bill. Hayes Accountability Act, sponsored by a freshman rep from Harlan's old Ohio district. Ostensibly whistleblower safeguards, but buried clauses gutted anonymous leaks, mandated loyalty oaths for contractors' kin.
My kin.
Op-eds branded it Skylar's shadow, punishment disguised as progress. I testified against Rayburn Lights hot as judgment. This isn't accountability, it's muzzle. I paid for my father's sins, don't make daughters pay for speaking. Hale, graying but unbowed, chaired. Miss Hayes, your speaking costs livelihoods. Balance, please. Balance. The word mocked. Gallery split. Elena Institute banners versus Apex alumni pickets. Bill passed narrow, signed in a rose garden photo op with reformed execs. Pyrrhic, my work hamstrung, but spotlight amplified. Donations surged, lawsuits filed. Twist's shadow fell then. A call from Leavenworth chaplain. Harlan, stage 4 pancreatic, weeks left. He wants absolution, Skylar. From you. Absolution. The hook I'd swallowed whole. I drove down. 95 a ribbon of regret. Prison gates clanging like finality. Visitation room. Plexiglass divide. His side dim. Him shrunken, chemo bald. Veins mapping defeat. Kid. He rasped through the speaker, voice wire thin. You won. No, I said, picking up the phone, palm slick. We both lost. He chuckled, wet cough.
Fair.
But listen, the drive, the photos? All me. Final flip. Wanted you fighting alive. Not rotting beside me. Confession hung. Toxic gift.
Why?
Eyes like your mother's. Stubborn.
And sorry.
For Elena. For all. Tears tracked his cheeks, real or rehearsed. I searched his face, monster or man. Blurred eternal. Forgive, he whispered. America's question. I stood, chair scraping. Maybe in the next life, Dad. Walked out, no backward glance, but the weight lifted, fraction, featherlight. He died a month later, obituary a hagiography, pioneer, provider. I scattered Elena's ashes, delayed ritual. At the overpass, dawn gilding the guardrail. We did it. I murmured to the wind. Alex texted. Coffee? No ghosts. I smiled, typed yes. Ending?
Nota idibao.
The act lingers, bill gutted in courts, institute thriving, me testifying for real reform. Controversial still. Heroes debate if I redeemed or ruined. But in Brooklyn nights, subway rumbling below, I sleep sound. Revenge was the storm. This, the quiet after, flawed, fierce, finally mine.